India and the United States were once seen as the rising duo of the 21st century, two democracies working hand in hand to counter China's growing power. But that relationship may now be over. In today's video, we're breaking down 13 key points to discuss, and stay torn because you won't want to miss any part: why India is shifting closer to China, how US tariffs and disrespect have backfired, and what this means for the balance of power in Asia. Stick around to the end because the conclusion will change how you see the future of world politics. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The first on our list is the US-India relationship is over. For years, Washington branded India as its most important partner in the Indo-Pacific. The Quad Alliance, the US, Japan, Australia, and India, was supposed to contain China. American companies poured billions into India's tech sector, and military ties grew stronger with joint exercises in the Indian Ocean, but all of that goodwill is now collapsing. Why? Because the US has once again treated India not as a partner, but as a subordinate. Washington has slapped a new wave of tariffs on Indian goods, targeting steel, aluminum, and even key exports like pharmaceuticals and textiles. For a nation like India, which employs millions in these industries, this wasn't just economics, it was humiliation. And when India asked for exemptions, the US simply said no. For New Delhi, this was the last straw. 2. How Trump is pushing India to China. Former President Trump was known for his aggressive tariff policies, and in his second term, he doubled down. India, once considered a close ally, was treated no differently than rivals. Instead of respecting India's rise as a global power, Washington applied the same America First approach: punish everyone who dares to compete. But here's the problem. India isn't just another trade partner. It's a country of 1.4 billion people, with one of the fastest-growing economies in the world. By pushing India away, Trump may have handed China the biggest diplomatic victory of the decade. China, unlike the US, is offering India deals. Beijing is proposing joint infrastructure projects, reduced tariffs, and a regional trade framework where India won't be lectured or bullied. 3. Nomad capitalist sponsor. Before we continue, a quick word from today's sponsor, Nomad Capitalist, the world's leading brand when it comes to global citizenship, second passports, and international investing. Here's the thing. In a world where superpowers are clashing, alliances are shifting, and tariffs can change overnight, being dependent on just one country is risky. Whether you're a government, a business, or even an individual. That's where Nomad Capitalist comes in. They help entrepreneurs, investors, and everyday people legally reduce their taxes, diversify their wealth, and create a true Plan B by going global. Imagine this. Just like India is rethinking its reliance on the US, you too can rethink your reliance on a single passport, a single bank account, or a single government. Nomad Capitalist shows you how to build freedom and security in an uncertain world. So, if you want to go where you're treated best, check out Nomad Capitalist. Because while world leaders are playing chess with tariffs and alliances, you can secure your own financial future. Now, back to why America's strategy is collapsing. 4. How Trump tried to bully India. India's relationship with the US soured because Washington expected obedience. Take energy, for example. India buys discounted oil from Russia to power its economy. The US demanded that India stop. But why would India give up cheap energy that keeps inflation under control? When India refused, US officials threatened sanctions, canceled trade privileges, and began imposing new duties. In essence, Washington tried to bully India into compliance, the same way it has bullied smaller nations for decades. But India isn't a small nation. It's the 5th largest economy on Earth, a nuclear power, and one of the most powerful militaries in Asia. Bullying India was a colossal mistake. 5. Why India is a real superpower. Unlike many US allies, India isn't dependent on American aid or security guarantees. It is self-reliant in agriculture, has a booming tech sector, and one of the largest standing armies in the world. It also controls one of the most strategic locations on the planet, the Indian Ocean. Every year, trillions of dollars in global trade flows through these waters. And while Washington still treats India like a junior partner, Beijing is recognizing India as an equal power. From Washington's perspective, losing India is catastrophic. India isn't just another ally, it's the only country with the population size, military capability, and economic potential to counterbalance China in Asia. For years, American strategists dreamed of a US-India alliance as the cornerstone of their Indo-Pacific strategy. In retaliation for US tariffs, India has introduced its own countermeasures. This may sound small, but the symbolism is huge. Farmers in the US Midwest, a critical voting bloc, are furious. 8. Why India is important for US tech industry. There's another dimension here: technology. India is the brain of Silicon Valley. From Google's CEO Sundar Pichai to Microsoft's Satya Nadella, Indian talent dominates US tech. But now, India is reconsidering how much of that talent pipeline should continue flowing westward. If India strengthens its tech cooperation with China instead, the US could lose its edge in AI, semiconductors, and software innovation. That's not just a trade problem. That's a national security crisis. 9. Why USA containment strategy is failing. At the heart of this story is India's refusal to follow US orders. When Washington imposed sanctions on Russian oil, India didn't comply. Instead, it bought even more Russian crude at discounted prices, saving billions of dollars. This wasn't just an economic decision, it was a political statement. India will not sacrifice its national interest for America's agenda. Ironically, those Russian oil savings have helped India keep inflation low while Western nations struggle with high energy prices. In other words, India's independence is paying off. 11. Why the US bullies other countries. The truth is, Washington has built its foreign policy on dominance, not partnership. From Latin America to the Middle East to Asia, the US has relied on sanctions, tariffs, and military threats to get what it wants. But this approach doesn't work on countries like India, which have the size and power to push back. This isn't just about China. India has also grown closer to Russia, a traditional ally since the Cold War. Moscow supplies India with over 60% of its weapons, including advanced missile systems and fighter jets. And while Washington threatens sanctions, Russia offers India discounts and co-production deals. Even during the Ukraine conflict, India refused to condemn Moscow, proving it values its independence above American approval. By combining its ties with Russia and new deals with China, India is building a multipolar future, one where it no longer relies on Washington. So, how did we get here? The answer is simple: arrogance. Instead of respecting India as an equal, the US treated it as another pawn in its global chess game. Tariffs, sanctions threats, lectures on democracy, all of these pushed India away. Now America may have lost the one ally that could have balanced China's rise, and once India and China deepen cooperation, Washington will find itself isolated in Asia. The US-India relationship was once called the defining partnership of the 21st century. But today, it looks like history. By imposing tariffs and disrespecting India's independence, Washington has driven New Delhi closer to Beijing and Moscow. The lesson here is clear. In a multipolar world, countries like India will not be bullied or controlled. They will choose their partners based on respect and mutual benefit. And if the US doesn't adapt, it will continue to lose allies, and perhaps its global leadership. So why did India choose China? Because Washington gave it no other choice. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Drop a comment below. Do you think India made the right move by siding with China, or should it have stayed loyal to the US? The world is changing fast, and this story is just the beginning.